I'd like to welcome everybody to the concluding session of the Fight Back. So throughout this series, we've taken a journey, not a mythological journey, not a nostalgic journey, but a journey into a truth that the world rarely tells, and Muslims themselves often forget, which is that Islam built the modern Western civilization that we see. This modern world that we see, the fingerprints of Islamic brilliance are seen throughout this world, whether it's in the science that we have, whether it's in the universities that we have, whether it's in the hospitals, whether it's in the various structures, whether it's in our astronomy, whether it's in our philosophy, whether it's in our mathematics, whether it's even in our daily life. So let's revisit the echoes of our past and try to learn a bit more about this, or summarize this. So the first thing, number one, the Prophet ﷺ was the educator of women. So we begin where all revival begins, with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And we have to remember the context. At a time when women were literally buried, literally and socially, in an Arabian society, the Prophet ﷺ raised them, taught them, entrusted them with knowledge, with preservation of the Sunnah, to a level that is unparalleled, even in the modern world today. The most famous example being Aisha, who was the greatest of all of the female intellectuals that we have throughout history, Muslim or non-Muslim, and many other great women that preserved this and held this. So we see the Prophet ﷺ, that he didn't just educate women, he made them leaders of knowledge. In a world that denied them even basic dignity, whether it was Arabia, whether it was Europe at the time, whether it was the Far East, whether it was India, wherever you go across the world, women were being deeply oppressed and denied basic educational rights. And the first example of a group of educated women in human history is from the Sahabiyat, from the Prophet ﷺ. So this is something for women to understand, that when you study today, when you study Islam today, you are following this path of these great female giants. Number two, what did the Prophet do for the UK? So then when we travel centuries forward, we now ask a bold question. What did the Prophet ﷺ ever do for Britain? And the answer will surprise many. The numbers that we use today are from the Muslim world. The soap that we use to clean ourselves is born from Muslim chemistry. The navigational tools that we use today are from Muslim astronomers. The medical knowledge, undoubtedly, is from Muslim foundations. So even the scientific method, even the science we use today, all of this was shaped by Muslim thinking. So next time somebody says, what has Islam ever done for us? Which is a common question in the modern world. The answer is a lot more than they can ever imagine. And the reality is that Islamic civilization didn't just influence Britain. It built the vast majority of the benefits that we see today in the UK. The vast majority are from the Muslims directly. What else? Like we mentioned previously, whether we're talking about universities, before we had Oxford, before we had Cambridge, before we even had Bologna, we had what? We had the Qarwain, we had the Zaytuna, we had the Al-Azhar, we had these universities that were now emulated and transferred across to the Western world. These were centers of learning that were open for all. There was no financial restrictions. And they taught Quran, they taught astronomy, they taught medicine, they taught mathematics, they taught philosophy. They taught all of these key subjects. And these were the universities that shaped the mind and transformed the world as we know it. Alongside that, the Muslims also transformed and also reignited knowledge of the human body as well, through the establishment of hospitals, which were established following the discovery of the theory of germs, the fact that there's tiny microbes that transfer disease. From this, the Muslims then developed hospitals, they also developed surgical instruments, they also developed the pharmacy, they developed the idea of inoculation, they developed the idea of medical training. Many of these different aspects of the hospital or the medical profession today, again, is taken directly from the Muslims and was brought into the West through great Muslim physicists and through great Muslim scientists. Muslim mathematics, then now we explore the language of the universe itself, which is mathematics. So the algebra that we learn, the algorithms behind the phone, the website and the computer, the numbers we write, all of these things. The term algorithm itself is a Latinized form of Al-Khwarizmi. The great Imam Al-Khwarizmi, who is the founder of algebra and modern mathematics, from Persia. His word, if you take his name into Latin, it means algorithm. So the word itself is from there. So all of this can be traced, and we have to understand the importance. Without algebra, there's no engineering, there's no architecture. Without algorithms, there's no internet. And without the numbers, the Muslim numerals, the Arabic numerals, there would be no Muslim economy. There would be no economy in the West either. Yeah, there would be no business, there would be no economics that we see in terms of the world around us today. What else? Ibn al-Haytham, the first scientist. So now we're going to look at one of the greatest minds in human history. This is Ibn al-Haytham, a man who didn't accept what he received. He read the Greek texts and realized there's many mistakes in these texts. And there's many things that have not been tested, not been verified. So therefore he invented single-handedly this idea of the scientific method, of taking information, verifying it, experimenting with it, re-evaluating it, and therefore being able to actually arrive at certain knowledge. And this was just one of his achievements. Alongside that, he single-handedly found the topic or the subject of optics. Yeah, he understood how people see, and through this we have the camera that we're using right now to even record this, which is from Ibn al-Haytham, and other things like for example, the whole field of optometry, these types of knowledges which came from him. Yeah, so again, something important. And then perhaps most remarkably of all is Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun, who is the founder of history, what we call historiography, sociology, and economics. He was a genius many, many centuries ahead of his time. And what did he do? He analyzed civilization. He understood economics. He understood power, culture, development, the rise and decline of civilizations, all of these things. And Europe discovered many of these subjects 500-600 years later. Yeah? And it's something incredible. Historians to this day, they reflect upon this. How can one man have lived in an age where none of this knowledge existed and single-handedly brought it to life? If you look at economics, the foundations, we look at Adam Smith and the free market economy from Ibn Khaldun. You look at sociological analysis, historical analysis, all of these different aspects, all of them are from this great individual. What else? Muslim astronomy. If you look to the stars, I'll give you one fact which suffices, which is that we have 50 main stars in the sky, 50 of the main navigational stars. 49 out of 50, the names are from Arabic, which tells you that the Muslims mapped the entire night sky. Yeah, and this is something extraordinary. What else? They created observatories. So this again allowed the Muslims and then the non-Muslims to now analyze the sky in a much deeper way. Yeah, and they also the first telescopes you find from the Muslims, and all of this of course allowed for navigation, and it allowed for a greater understanding of the night sky. So in conclusion, what does all of this mean? It means that we aren't behind. Yeah, we're not dependent upon others. Instead, we are actually the creators of this modern civilization that many now seek to imitate. Yeah. So this false idea that Islam held humanity back has to be rejected. Instead, Islam pushed humans' civilization forward in a brilliant way, in a really profound and perfect way. So this is the fight back, and the fight back begins the moment that we remember who we are. And we have to understand this isn't to boast or to try to be better than others. This rather is for us to be confident ourselves and to understand this is our heritage, and this is the means that we need to take in order to re-empower and reignite our own faith in these difficult times.